Good morning and welcome back to season 3, episode 1. O'Neill's on the Run, Life in a Bus. And today it is Candy and Ali.
Hi.
Well, that was a bit flat for a season welcoming. This season we are starting with life in Bowen. But just to recap and a little reminder of where we are. Season 1 was our build and fit out season. Season 2 was the start of our bus life adventure.
Yeah.
And we left off with arriving in Bowen to work the tomato harvest for the season, which didn't quite go as planned. We ended up working at Bowen Holiday Park. So this first episode, we'll sort of cover the 4 months that we were at Bowen working for Bowen Holiday Park and some of the little trips and things we did while we were up there for the 4 months. So, waited for the tomato season to start and it just kept raining. And while we're waiting for the rain and the ground to dry out so we could start driving tractors harvesting tomatoes, we were offered the job at Bowen Holiday Park as assistant managers. We worked 5 days on, 2 days off there, which gave us a great amount of time to explore the community and get to know the community in Bowen. And I think we'll start with coffee and food because we all love coffee and food.
The priorities, I think, 2 best coffee shops were Kevlad, was Dad's favourite, earliest coffee shop that opened around near Queen's Beach, great location. It's a bit indie, so to say, but it was good.
A bit of health food,
healthy
healthy cafe.
The Gym Bros Cafe.
A Gym Bro Cafe, I like that description, yeah.
Yeah.
It opened at 5 and Tom used to get their coffee there every morning and then walk the dog on Queen's Beach. That was his little winter morning ritual for the 4 months we were there, and I think he walked just about every single day we were there.
Yeah.
So if you add up all those $5 coffees at Kevlar, they've probably done pretty well out of us over the winter.
And then Joachim's Pies.
Joachim's Bakery in the main, well, not just off the main street. They done proper Vietnamese iced coffee, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And a good apple turnover there too.
Yep.
And then we also enjoyed Flagstaff Cafe just because the views up there were spectacular.
Yep. Yes. And as 2 people who have been to Vietnam, I think that's the most authentic Vietnamese food that we've had in Australia since then. It was good.
Yeah, really authentic Vietnamese spring rolls and things on the menu there as well. And I guess Bowen, because it's a really ethnically diverse place, people come from all over the world to work through the winter harvest season. There is a lot of options.
Yeah.
Food-wise, there is pretty much every cuisine known to man, I think, available in Bowen, which is pretty impressive for a small little town.
Yeah. And then probably my 2 favourite foods were, there was Jimbop, which was a little Korean restaurant.
Was it Korean and Japanese fusion?
Yeah.
Korean barbecue? Yeah.
It was genuinely amazing. It was a bit expensive and it was only open for a very short window, but it was really good food.
It was super tasty. I love Korean barbecue. It was the business.
And then the only thing that got me through work was Momo Sushi, which was this really cheap, really amazing sushi restaurant just a little bit down from where I was working, and that was good and affordable, super healthy and delicious. So
I think Ali spent half a paycheck buying sushi every lunch, but you got to do the things you do to get you through the work week.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the 2 biggies in Bowen, you got to go to Birdie's Fish Bar, which is fish and chips, but right in the marina, and Arabon Seafoods, which is like wholesale fresh seafood straight off the trawler.
Pretty sure they had every type of fish that you could get in Bowen available there.
Pretty much, I reckon. And while we're talking fishing, I tried my luck fishing in Bowen. I caught a few little bream off the jetty and some tiny, tiny little bream that could barely swallow the hook from the Don River mouth there. Everyone takes a boat out to the mackerel patch, they call it, and they chase the mackerel, the Spanish mackerel, around out there. I just had a kayak and there was too many big sharks and crocodiles for me to attempt that. So,
Yeah. And what did you get hit by in the mangroves?
oh, midges.
Yeah, midges. Mum had a midgie attack.
I got swarmed. I went to flick some lures around in the mangroves and I got swarmed by midges. It looked like 101 Dalmatians. I had so many bites. I was so itchy. My pants like rubbed on them and they all got inflamed. It was horrible. I hate midges, but midges love me.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the only problem about fishing in the mangroves.
The weather at Bowen for the winter, I mean, if you want my definition of textbook perfect, winter weather, Bowen's it. June and July was 27 degrees every single day. That was the top, and it got there. And just the bottom changed a little bit, somewhere between 12 and 19 overnight lows. Generally, 27 degrees every day. I just couldn't ask for more. That was my perfect winter weather.
Yep, yep. It was good. I think the only problem I ever had in the weather was when we were there and we just pulled into when Mum and Dad were going to say if they did the tomato harvest. And I got, I think, the second worst storm that we've had in the bus. And that was a one off, but like the storms up there are a bit wild. And especially in a big motorhome where it's just rocking.
Yeah, the whole bus, we weren't there. We were sort of off having our job induction. But yeah, the whole bus rocked side to side and it broke a bracket on the awning. And
Yep.
I was traumatized.
Yep.
The Bowen community really impressed us, and it's somewhere that we've all said we could go back to and live
Yeah,
if
yeah.
the right block come available at the right time. We would all happily go back to Bowen. It's a real country town, but in the Whitsundays.
Yeah, yeah. I think coming from a lot of farming communities, it's exactly like that. Everyone knows each other. There's a lot of like, yeah, it's a bit slow and the customer service is lacking at times, but it is a really good, friendly, laid back community just in a really nice location.
It was beautiful location, yeah. So Ali picked up Taekwondo there.
Yeah. So in the school hall there at the high school, it was self-defense based Taekwondo, really affordable, really good. There was lots of people at different ages there. So if you're staying there for a couple of months and you want to do some martial arts, I definitely recommend picking that up. There's a few around there. I don't think the PCYC has boxing, but there's like a yoga martial arts studio just a bit out of town too that I'm aware of.
Yeah. And then we liked the markets. We used to go down to the Queen's Beach markets every time they were on and get a mango smoothie, wander around. It was pretty good.
Yep, they had lots of fresh fruit stalls as well.
Yeah, lots of produce and things from local providers. Bowen has like the best beaches, the picture perfect postcard Whitsundays beaches. If you've seen a picture of the Whitsundays, it was probably taken at Bowen. And it is really that good in life. Queen's Beach, Kings Beach, Grays Bay, Rose Bay, Horseshoe Bay, and I feel like Murray's Beach, and I feel like we're missing one. But they are spectacular, like paddle boarding and snorkeling right off Horseshoe Bay.
Yep. Horseshoe Bay is very picturesque. Like it's the Instagram worthy beach, I think. Like the whole Horseshoe Bay end of Bowen's very much Instagram and upsell, much like Queen's Beach.
Yeah, so Queen's Beach is this beautiful long stretch of beach. I think it's 3 or 4 kilometres long. It's off leash dog friendly, so we would walk there every morning, the length of the beach and back at sunrise because it was just perfect. Like, it was just really lovely. And then a couple of times while we're there, we made the effort to get up and do the Horseshoe Bay to Rose Bay hike, which goes over sort of a rocky headland. And at sunrise, it is just spectacular. You got to be a bit careful not to trip over all the rocks and things on the way, but until the sun comes up. But it's really, really a spectacular walk. Yeah, it was a really beautiful. God, ignore the husband in the background. He's pain in my butt. He should be on the podcast. So yeah, Horseshoe Bay. You go over to Murray's Beach and then round to Rose Bay. Absolutely gorgeous. Make the effort to do it. It's our recommended walk there in Bowen.
Queen's Beach and the sunrise is spectacular.
Yeah. And then while we're based in Bowen, every time we'd have days off, we'd try to go somewhere or do something have a little bit of an explore. So we went out to Collinsville, which is a little mining town about 100 kilometres inland-ish. It's a coal town. Ali had to work that day, so it was
Yep,
just Tom and I.
unfortunately.
It's a very rich history town. It's got museums and things dedicated to the mining. It was the last town or mine in Australia to have pit ponies, so the little ponies that went underground to pull the coal out. And we had lunch at the Pit Pony Tavern, and it was really lovely. So Collinsville, especially if you're interested in that sort of history and mining industry, is worth having a trip out to. Airlie Beach slash Cannon Vale was our major. It was like the go-to. It had Bunnings and Woolies and Harvey Norman, and because we finally replaced a smashed laptop, so we had to go to a Harvey Norman.
Yep.
But it's not my vibe.
It's nice. It's just very much like every other touristy town, I think. The markets were really good, that were there at the Airlie Beach when we went. And it's a nice walk around there, and just right on the waterfront, like right in town, there's like this little walking community that's all got the beach and the little cafes and the tours and stuff. So I think it's lovely down there. But again, it's just kind of one of those day trips. You see it once, you see it all.
It's a backpacker mecca. So I think if you were 20 something and you wanted to lay in the sun and get burnt all day and then drink yourself until you were sick all night, wake up and do it over, it would be fabulous. And it is the gateway to like the Whitsunday Islands, I guess. So it's where you jump on all your tours and things, and you do the jet ski to Daydream Island and all that. So, but
and
it is
there's skydiving there too.
Skydiving there too. But it is a backpacker mecca, and it was just way too commercially. But maybe if I was 20 something, I would have probably enjoyed it more than at my current age. From Airlie Beach, I went on a fishing charter with Whitsunday Fishing Charters twice. Ali is not a fisherman, so she won't join in this part of the conversation. And Tom will pretty much only go fishing if I bait his hook for him and bribe him with a 6-pack of beer. So he didn't come either. Just me went fishing. With Whitsunday charters. The first day we went out, we got amongst the fish. We got amongst the nanny guy and some emperor and a couple of coral trouts and trevally. Had a good day fishing. The second day, I don't think anyone on the boat caught a fish, but we did get to watch a humpback whale give birth to a baby and sort of push it to the surface to take its first breaths and things, which was pretty amazing. It's not something you get to see. So even though we didn't get to catch fish, I did get to do impromptu whale watching instead. So that was kind of an offset for not catching fish.
And they were good because on the first tour, the motor broke, and then they immediately just said to Mum, hey, we can do another tour. And I think a lot of that, from what Mum mentioned, the customer service was really good, and they definitely took care of their clients.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so we had a bit of a motor meltdown on the first trip, and they were really good. They give us all a free fish, went out again. So that was good. From there, we also used to go to Proserpine a lot. We love Proserpine as a little town. Again, really rural and that little community feel. Not as touristy, but still a little bit there. But nice little cafes, and they had a Drake supermarket. We used to go and do most of our shopping there. And just out of Proserpine is Lake Proserpine, which is beautiful. There's a camping area and stuff there right on the water. I think it's got like the highest concentration of barramundi inland in Queensland or something like that. Anyway, barramundi fishing is very good there apparently. I didn't have a go, but it's very beautiful. I think one of my favourite day trips we did was around towards Airlie, and then you turn off to Cape Conway, and we went to Cedar Creek Falls. It was really pretty.
Yeah, it was nice. Definitely a bit of a wind up towards there. Like, the roads.
Oh, the road was a bit windy?
Yeah.
I was wondering where you were going then. It's just a quiet little place, a bit of a hidden gem, really. And when we were there, the falls were running, and there was a beautiful swimming hole at the bottom and again at the top. and it was a lovely little spot in
Yeah.
in the forest, and lovely little falls. I don't think the falls go all the time, only sort of after rain.
Yeah.
In the dry season anyway, which is when we were there. But we were lucky to see them run, and then we went out and looked at Cape Conway, which has a caravan park with a cool 1950s type American diner, which everyone says is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good trip. I really liked Cedar Creek Falls. I thought it was really beautiful.
Yeah. Nice.
It's nice. You're not doing much lifting on this podcast, Ali. You're just channeling some Tom vibes.
Yeah, I gotta fill in for him when he's not here.
Yeah, you just admit, like Tom, you're just not lifting your game there.
Yeah.
Also, while we were based in Bowen, we took a couple of trips north to Cairns. Tom's sister and her family live in Cairns, so sisters and nieces and nephews and brother-in-laws and the whole crew up there in Cairns. So we did 2 trips north while we were there, and we'll go through a few of the things we did on those trips as well while we're talking about life in North Queensland.
Yep. Tully, definitely the first rainforest section. Like you go from the wet Sundays, it's still
tropical, but it's not wet.
No.
Tully is wet. I mean, it's the wettest place in Australia, I think, but it is proper rainforest, humid.
Yep, it's like this little town just tucked away into the rainforest, I think is the best way to describe it.
And a good pie shop.
Yes.
Now, we had a disagreement because Ali says it's up there with Croft pies.
I do reckon it's up there with Croft pies. I am loyal to Croft pies.
That's at Aberdeen in New South Wales, by the way. For me personally, the best pie we've had so far is still Budgie Woy from our little food van on the side of the road. It was like a pulled beef brisket.
It was nice.
See, Tom chips up from the background and he votes for the Budgie Woy one too. So meat pies are a bit of a hot topic in the bus, really.
Yeah,
we do like we had a good meat pie today, actually. Well, yeah, it fell apart, but it was tasty.
Yeah.
We'll get onto that one.
We should definitely do an episode maybe towards the end of when we're doing the podcast about we rank all of the best foods by poll that we've travelled to, best meat pie, best drink.
Oh yeah, we could do that. We can best coffee, best seafood, best.
Yeah.
We could do that. There's an idea. Maybe we'll do that in the end of the next season or end of this season. Actually, now we're in season 3. So yeah, we went to Tully. We went to Cardwell. Cardwell ticks my buttons, but it doesn't for Tom.
I'm a bit 50-50 about it. It's nice, but it's not.
I think Cardwell's really lovely with the walking track along the water and Hinchinbrook Island and the palm trees. You can't swim because big crocodiles, but I really like Cardwell. Yeah. No one else seems to get it, but I do. I like it. We also want to give Home Hill a bit of a rap there because they have an awesome free camp just behind the main street, and I think that's a really good example of a little town doing tourism right.
Yeah.
And by putting in that free camp, it brings a lot into the community. So I just want to give those guys a shout out because I think more little councils should be jumping on that. And to jump forward a bit, we've just finished a trip out west where a lot of little towns have jumped on that, and it's really lovely to see and to see it be supported. And
especially Burren Junction, I think, is the best example of that we've seen so far.
And what that can bring to a little town.
Yeah.
That more on that when we get there. But so shout out to Home Hill for doing a great little free camp there. Yeah, bringing some tourist dollars into their little town. We went to Mission Beach and Bingle Bay.
Yeah.
Didn't see cassowary. Never saw one the whole time I was up there. I really want to see one in the wild, but I've never managed to do it.
I'm happy to see one as long as I'm in a car so they can't attack me.
Yeah, well, it's because you got chased by emus. For those who follow along on Facebook, you would have all heard the story.
Oh, Jesus.
Recently. She hasn't defended herself yet, but we might get that full story on a podcast later.
Maybe.
Ali and the emu attack. That'll be a good story, that one. So Mission Beach, I remember going there as a teenager and thinking it looked like something out of a movie. Golden sand, rows of palm trees, beautiful blue water. We rolled in on a bit of a so-so kind of day. Big surf, brown water.
I think they just had a big flood up there, like it was
a lot of wet. I think that the wettest dry season on record while we'd been up there. So
yeah. I mean, it just sort of looked a bit washed out. I definitely Baringal Bay was nice.
Bingle Bay, yeah, down the on the northern end of Mission Beach is
Yeah.
Bingle Bay, which is more secluded, little
Yeah.
free camp area, sort of away from the tourists a bit.
You know, but I think it's just like there was a lot of debris on the beach and
Yes.
just a bad day.
Yeah, just not the best day for Old Mission Beach. We also went and called in to see Babinda Boulders, which had been on my photo bucket list for a bit.
Yep. I think that's probably one of the best watering holes that we've been to so far. They had 2 pools at either end of the boulders. A bit cold, but
yeah, it was July.
Yeah.
But Babinda boulders are very dangerous, so make sure if you're going up there, you always swim just in the swimming pools, not near the Devil's Hole and the pools themselves, because lots of people do drown there every year. So it's dangerous, but it's so beautiful, and it's just that peaceful, idyllic, rainforesty setting. There is a free camp there. It was fairly busy, and there were a lot of backpackers and things there while we were there.
I think the only bad part really about it was that there was a lot of backpackers like pushing and shoving and
to try to get in there. It's just not necessary, but I mean, Babinda Boulders isn't going anywhere. It's been there for thousands of years. There's plenty of time for everybody to enjoy the space without sort of getting all up in everyone's business about it. Cairns, while we were at Cairns, we stayed with family, and we took everyone for a bike ride from Trinity Beach to Palm Cove.
Yep. I think that's beautiful bike track along there. It's really safe and accessible, and it's generally really good along the Esplanade and the beach
it's really like picture perfect. Like it's a postcard. You're just riding along through the palm trees with the ocean, 20 metres away.
We did have a few funny incidents with the young cousins accidentally hitting people, but other than that, it was very peaceful.
Yeah, one of my nieces took out a guy coming the other way on a push bike head-on crash, but no one was injured.
No.
And we also took the bikes for a ride around Redlynch. Was Gumbora Park, I think it's called, which is a lovely park and a lovely ride. Again, that time Isaac took out a skateboarder. You gotta love kids and bikes. It's a great combination. But they're both beautiful areas for the family-friendly areas to ride bikes and things.
Really good park, really, peaceful and
We also took our nephew Isaac to the military museum because
I do believe that was my idea. Thank you.
Because boys' guns and tanks are a pretty big hit, really.
Yep.
And I think there's every tank and missile known to man in that shed.
Yep. It's really great. I am a military history nerd, so I was the one who suggested it. But
you just wanted to shoot big guns.
Yes. But there's definitely a lot of history there, and it's all labelled, and you get to see so much of Australian military history, and lots of tanks. And they also have the option to shoot some rifles.
They have a gun range.
Yeah. So you can shoot. There's a couple of military history rifles, so you get to shoot a .22 caliber rifle, and then a couple of selected other rifles. So I got to shoot a German rifle,
which was German. It was a big one.
Yeah.
Bruised her shoulder and she whinged for a week, but she said it was fabulous at the time.
It's definitely something to consider if you go up there and you're into shooting. It's, a super cool experience. I loved it. I still have the sheet of paper that I shot on, so I think that's really nice to do. So
yeah, if that's your thing, getting your shoulder bruised by a big gun.
Yeah, well, you don't have to choose the second biggest gun just to prove a point. But
no, yes. And then we went up to Port Douglas.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it as overrated.
Overrated, yeah.
And I get some hate. I put that on Facebook at the time, and I cop some hate for saying Port Douglas is overrated. It is not the best stretch of beach on the Great Barrier Reef, and it is not the nicest rainforest in the Daintree. It might be a gateway to both those things.
I would nearly say that the Cairns beach where we went, Palm Cove, was a nicer beach, and Coranda was a nicer rainforest onto the Daintree. I'd say that.
Yeah. And it's super touristy, it's super inflated and overpriced and upmarkety. It's just kind of lost a lot of its charm.
Yeah, too much like Airlie Beach, I think.
Yeah, again, it's at Airlie Beach. It's people come to North Queensland and they think they have to go to Mission Beach. Oh, sorry, Airlie Beach and Port Douglas,
Yeah.
and it's become just a tourist hub with
Yeah,
no
yeah.
real soul to it.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to cop some heat for that, but that's our opinion on Port Douglas. It was pretty enough,
Yeah, yeah,
but everything was just meh.
Yeah.
Meh. From Port Douglas, we went up to Mossman, and again, this is somewhere I'd been as a teenager, and I remember it just being the most beautiful place, and I was super excited to take my husband and my daughter there and show them this amazing place that I'd been waiting, 20 odd years to get back to.
Yeah.
And we got to the bottom of the gorge to find out that you now have to pay to take a bus up into the gorge. They've shut the gorge off. And I got really upset slash angry because that's a national park and that's supposed to be locked up for all Australian citizens to enjoy in its natural state, and now it's a commercial venture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had like a bit of a blow up about it at the time, at no one in particular, and I've had a blow up about it on Facebook. But I just think like we shouldn't be commercializing those
No.
things. That's a natural part of our country that's supposed to be for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a money making venture. And I think big thumbs down to the national park that managed that, or the government that managed that,
Yep.
or whoever commercialised it.
And I think even if you did need to have the Aboriginal heritage stuff there and the need to protect that land, you could have done that without commercialising it. You just enter, but you have to enter with a free Aboriginal guide, I think, if that's the way that they wanted
Or
to
have guided and unguided,
Unguided.
or fence off areas of cultural significance. I think there was a lot of other ways
Yeah,
they
that it could have been addressed.
could have been handled without just fencing it off and turning it into a business, because that's
Yeah.
not what our national parks are. So I hope someone listens to this and takes that on board, and it might get somewhere one day, maybe. But national parks aren't a business, peeps. Get that sorted. That's my rant for this episode.
Yep.
Wouldn't be a podcast without one.
No.
So from Mossman, we went to Mariba.
Yep.
340 days of sunshine a year.
And we got torrential rain.
We got bucketing rain. We got the wettest dry season on history.
Yep.
And we stayed up at the rodeo grounds there. It was $25 per night on unpowered. We were camping in the rooftop tent on top of the Nissa Navara.
Yep.
And Ali was in her swag under the awning.
Yep. I have one of the King's tent swag things.
Yep. Big Daddies or whatever they're called, I think.
Yeah,
That's what they're called. We also went to the museum there, which we liked, but didn't think it was as good as Miles. Miles Historical Museums kind of come the bar for historical museums now. There's like the museum we measure all other country museums against.
Yeah.
Mariba was good. There's it was enjoyable.
I think Miles, if we do the episode on the best rankings of things, I think Miles will definitely
Best museum?
Yeah, best museum.
Oh, we've got some hot contenders coming up.
Maybe. I think maybe best rural museum.
Historical museum.
Yeah.
Something. Anyway, it's up there. It's the one we measure museums by, really.
Yeah.
But we've had some hot contenders just lately.
Yeah.
That we'll have to get to and talk about. We also went to Skyberry Coffee Farm while we were there. Tom's a coffee nut. I'm a coffee nut. Ali wishes she was a coffee nut.
I am allergic.
Ali's allergic to coffee, but loves the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was good. They have this thing out of, so where you go in to taste all the coffees and the liqueurs, they have like these big egg chairs that you can just
swing on and look over the rainforest and the plantation, which was nice. We had a coffee. We bought some coffee. We bought a new French press.
You bought some coffee liqueur?
Coffee liqueur. I believe it was called croque piss. It must have been pretty delicious because I drank it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But so Skyberry Farm, that coffee farm, that was pretty good on the recommended list. And from there, I wanted to go around to Milla Falls, but again, as we said, wettest dry season on history. Everything was closed or wet or soggy, or the paths were shut. we have really good timing at picking bad timing when we go places.
Yeah.
And this was one of those things. We did do the Malanda Falls walk, but we were mud to the knee by the time we got back to the car. Malanda Falls is always lovely, and it's an easy access one, not too far. We went out to the giant fig tree, which we've been to before, but it's not a trip to the Tablelands without seeing the big fig tree. And Gallo Dairy.
Yep. As someone who's a cheese and chocolate like foodie, consume food like nothing else, I want to say probably the best smoked cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of the cheeses were a bit iffy, but they were nice. They weren't exactly
not iffy. They weren't off. They just weren't your cup of tea. All of them. I liked the camembert, and I bought some halloumi there as well.
Oh yeah, the halloumi was good.
It wasn't iffy.
It doesn't really measure up to Hunter Bell, I think.
You don't think?
No. But the smoky cheese was good, and the chocolate truffles there were amazing.
Yeah, because they do chocolate there as well, and gelato, and all sorts of milk,
we also
dairy
got
kind of thing.
The Thomas bite, because they brought out the cheese platter with all of these little additional snacks. And we got Dad being a culinary master and making us little bites of random ingredients.
Oh, that's right, like where he stacked figs and cheese and salamis all together and made us little cheese sandwich dealies. That was unique flavour combinations. But because the weather was so awful while we're up there, and I really wanted to stay at Ravenshoe, but it was really wet and really cold, like 13 degrees or something through the day there. So we pushed out to Inot Hot Springs. And we stayed in the caravan park. It was $55 per night on unpowered, but that gave us 3 adult accesses to the indoor hot pool facilities as well. You can go down the river for free in the sand.
It's just a bit
Well, it's just a hot river.
Yeah.
It's just a hot river. And when I was 12, my sister burnt the skin clean off her feet down there because she didn't listen to instructions. So
I think
Ali probably would have done the same.
Probably. I think in Hot Springs, after doing the pools and baths, is probably the hottest hot springs, and I really like the hot heat. Like, it was really nice. I wouldn't say it's the nicest facilities. That probably goes to Cunnamulla, but
yeah, like the hot springs there were lovely, and being a cold, misty, rainy day up in the Tablelands, like nothing better than floating around in the hot baths up there. It just bucketed rain that night.
Yep, I woke up in my tent and there was about 3 inches of rain all around me. I got a little bit sick.
Yeah, Ali was like, her swag was floating pretty much.
Yeah.
The whole caravan park had about 3 inches of water across the surface.
Yeah.
She was wet.
Yeah.
So we packed up and Ali tried to dry out. And we went to Paranella Park, which was $115 for an unpowered site for the 3 of us, and that also included our tours in the park and the night tour of the park as well.
Yeah.
So I think for 3 people, that's not too bad.
No. And it's definitely a well-desired place to be.
I think it was just got top place in Queensland Tourism or something again this year. It's cool. It's unique. It's something definitely worth seeing. Yeah. Tom's not really into that sort of stuff. It's not really his thing, but he enjoyed it. I mean, the falls and the lights and the way it's all lit up at night, especially, and the history.
Yeah, I think the history is actually really cool. And the night tour, I only did the night tour, but the way that they light up this huge waterfall, it was spectacular. It's definitely something very picturesque.
Yeah, it's a thing, you know. It's something you got to put on your list and you got to do while you're there, and it's definitely worth the price to go to. It's lovely there, and we had like 130 mils in a couple of hours while we were there, just bucketed rain. But the next morning it was so lovely, like you're in a jungle rainforesty setting, and to hear the birds singing as you woke up, it was
with that beautiful mist,
mist and the waterfall roaring in the background. It's a beautiful spot to stay. Like you can't, and they've just put in their own separate caravan park now, so I think they got more camping there since we were there last.
Yeah,
and then from there we tootled on back to Bowen. And that pretty much sums up our 4 months in Bowen. Next episode, I think we'll start chatting about our trip down south
Yep, for Thomas's cricket.
for cricket. Our life is ruled by cricket. You can tell the love there. But thanks for joining in. Catch us all next week. We will start being southbound from Bowen.
Yeah.
And we'll fill you all in on our trip. We might get Tom back.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
He's just scrolling on reels down there.
He's just-
Very committed.
Good job, Tom. Good scrolling, Tom. Okay. Bye, guys.